I'm so excited to meet you.
My gosh, that's a big guitar.
Yep.
Yeah.
When Melnik Virgolino stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage in July 2025, millions of viewers saw a confident 10-year-old wielding a guitar nearly as tall as he was. But what they didn't see was the most powerful story of that season hiding in plain sight. While other acts were spotlighted in promos and showered with golden buzzers, Bey's segment was curiously short, his backstage moments missing, and his face oddly absent from the show's most viral marketing. It was as if the show didn't quite know how to present him, or perhaps didn't want to. Yet whispers behind the curtains painted a different picture. Crew members, contestants, and even producers acknowledged there was something different about this kid. While others chased the spotlight, Bey walked in already glowing. He wasn't just a performer, he was a prodigy with purpose. But America's Got Talent didn't tell you how calculated that performance was. They didn't show you the hours of prep, the musical lineage pulsing through his fingers, or the calm fire burning behind those young eyes. This wasn't luck. This wasn't stage parent showboating. This was the arrival of an artist the producers couldn't quite control, and they knew it. Which raises the question, why did one of the most unforgettable acts get edited like a footnote? And what else didn't they want us to see? Despite being one of the most electrifying performers to grace the AGT stage that season, Melnik Virgolino's journey didn't come with the usual fanfare or judge hype. While other contestants were showered with praise, slow-motion montages, and carefully curated backstories, Bey's airtime felt sparse. His name wasn't blasted across the promos. The judges gave brief praise but no deep dive. And yet, behind the scenes, something different was happening. Contestants began whispering about him after rehearsal. Producers watched his footage again and again. Even in the tightly controlled narrative of a TV show, Bey's performance cracked through the surface. This wasn't oversight. It felt strategic, like a deliberate effort to keep the spotlight away just enough to let others shine. But that only made his presence stronger. While AGT seemed to underplay him, the crowd wasn't fooled. His segment may have been short, but it exploded online, gaining more traction than some golden buzzer winners. And backstage, fellow performers knew instantly, this kid wasn't just good, he was something else entirely. Quiet, calculated, and overflowing with raw artistry, Bey didn't need a production crew to build his legend. He was doing it himself, note by blistering note. Most toddlers are busy learning colors or stacking blocks. Melnik Virgolino? He was already chasing down guitars. At just 2 years old, he wasn't just playing with toy instruments, he was captivated, hypnotized, obsessed with the sound and shape of guitars. His parents quickly realized this wasn't just a phase. By 5, Bey had formal lessons, but his learning went far beyond beginner scales. He absorbed blues licks, deconstructed solos, and listened to music not as a child, but as a student of the art. His father played a central role in shaping this journey, turning their home into a living studio of sound, encouragement, and discipline. Music wasn't a hobby in the Virgolino household, it was the lifeblood of their bond. Bey's obsession grew every day, from watching Slash's iconic stage presence to mimicking the bends and slides of Stevie Ray Vaughan. But this wasn't mimicry. It was early mastery. While other kids doodled or gamed, Bey dissected rock anthems and learned blues phrasing by ear. His fingers developed calluses while most kids were still learning to tie their shoes. And by the time most children were picking out songs for school talent shows, Bey was writing original riffs, dreaming in rhythm, and practicing with a discipline even adults would envy. Growing up in New York City gave Bey more than just an address. It gave him a living, breathing education in musical diversity and grit. On any given day, he could walk through a subway station and hear jazz horns scream, acoustic guitars weep, or freestyle rappers spit lyrics that shook the walls. Bey didn't just hear music, he absorbed it. From the street performers in Harlem to the eclectic fusion bands in Brooklyn cafes, every sound found a home in his ever-expanding style. His fingers danced not just with technique but with soul, pulling in influences from rock, blues, Latin, and funk. And when he wasn't out listening, he was home studying, not just playing notes, but understanding the structure behind them. How Slash used silence as punctuation, how Hendrix turned distortion into storytelling, how Clapton's phrasing could make a crowd cry. New York gave Bay the palette. He brought the paint. By age 7, he could shift from a crunchy rock riff to a jazz-inspired solo without blinking. His brain had become a catalog of sonic DNA. In a city that chews up dreamers, Bay didn't just survive, he sharpened. And when he finally hit the AGT stage, the city's rhythm moved with him, pulsing through every strike of the strings. Let's get one thing straight. Bay isn't just another talented kid. He's a stage-ready artist with more performance savvy than most adults twice his age. Before AGT, Bay had already cut his teeth at local venues like The Bitter End, a legendary club where stars are born. But he didn't just cover other people's songs, he performed his own material, each chord telling a piece of his story. His stage presence wasn't learned, it was lived. Eye contact, footwork, mic control. Bay wasn't guessing, he was executing. And what makes his live shows unforgettable isn't just the technical perfection, it's the way he feels each note. He doesn't rush, he doesn't show off. He plays like someone who's lived 100 years through his strings. While most child performers rely on cuteness, Bay leans on command. He knows how to build tension, when to drop the hammer with a riff, and how to quiet the room with a delicate bend. There's a difference between a prodigy and a performer. Bay is both. And when the lights hit and the crowd roars, he doesn't flinch. He feeds off it, turning nerves into fire, pressure into performance, and expectations into disbelief. No gimmicks, no auto-tune, just raw, blistering talent. When Bay Melnick Virgolino walked onto the AGT stage with his PRS SE DGT guitar slung over his shoulder, the audience expected a cute performance, maybe a flashy solo or a gimmicky rock pose. But what they got was something much closer to a full-blown arena concert. As the first chords of "Are You Gonna Go My Way" by Lenny Kravitz tore through the speakers, the entire room shifted. This wasn't a child dabbling in performance. This was a young artist in complete command. His tone was razor-sharp, yet warm, his phrasing deliberate, and his transitions flawless. He moved with the music, not just standing and strumming, but walking the stage like a seasoned rock veteran, making eye contact, throwing in crowd-working poses, and never once losing rhythm or pitch. He sang and played simultaneously, locking in syncopated riffs and vocal lines that would challenge even trained musicians. The solo section didn't just mimic the original, it reinterpreted it, adding slides, bends, and pauses that built tension, and released it with purpose. The judges were stunned. The crowd rose, and yet in a twist that puzzled many, Bay didn't receive a golden buzzer. But he didn't need it, because what happened on that stage transcended the glitter and gimmicks of AGT. Bay proved that even at 10 years old, he wasn't playing for sympathy or spectacle. He was there to show what happens when talent, passion, and grit converge. And no buzzer could capture that. What aired on television was just a sliver of what actually unfolded the night Bay performed. What America saw was a high-energy, crowd-pleasing audition. What they didn't see was the firestorm that erupted the moment the cameras stopped rolling. According to backstage sources, producers who had initially underestimated Bay's segment were scrambling to fast-track his performance for online release. In fact, it was uploaded to social media within 24 hours, an unusually fast turnaround that usually only happens for headline-grabbing golden buzzer acts. Backstage, other contestants who had felt confident suddenly rechecked their set lists. The pressure had shifted. One insider claimed his performance was referred to as the moment the bar got raised. Yet oddly, His backstage interviews were cut, and his screen time trimmed shorter than other less memorable acts. Some fans who attended the taping noted that Bey's ovation lasted longer than any golden buzzer that night, but AGT clipped it down. The question isn't whether Bey impressed, it's why the show didn't capitalize on it more prominently. The truth? Maybe it was fear of letting someone so raw and real outshine the polished packages they'd already invested in. Or maybe, just maybe, Bey's impact was so organic they couldn't spin it. He didn't need drama, props, or a tragic backstory. He had the music, and that, in the realm of reality TV, is the one thing you can't script. Bey's performance may have felt spontaneous and effortless, but the reality is far more sophisticated. From his wardrobe to his walk, from the confident way he strapped on that full-sized guitar to the sharp way he smiled between notes, every element was part of a meticulously crafted image. His outfit wasn't random. It matched his gear, his musical influences, and his branding on social media. And his team? They weren't amateurs. Within minutes of his performance airing, high-quality clips hit TikTok and Instagram. Edited, captioned, and hashtag optimized. That kind of strategic digital release is rare, especially for first-time contestants. It wasn't just a performance, it was a launch. And it worked. Bey's follower count surged, fan pages multiplied, and comments from verified musicians started rolling in. While AGT painted him as a humble kid just stepping into the spotlight, behind the scenes, a much smarter operation was at work. Bey wasn't trying to be famous. He was stepping into a role he'd been preparing for years. That guitar wasn't just an instrument. It was a signal. Every gesture, every solo, every moment of eye contact was part of a larger vision to establish Bey as not just a child musician, but a legitimate artist. And while the show only hinted at this, the real story is that Bey didn't stumble into the spotlight. He built a runway and flew straight into it. Not all the noise surrounding Bey, Melnick Virgolino, was applause. As his audition exploded across the internet, not everyone was supportive. Hidden behind the flood of praise were pockets of criticism. Comments accusing him of being coached, claiming he was too rehearsed, or that he was trying too hard to be something he wasn't. For any adult performer, that kind of negativity can sting. For a 10-year-old, it can be crushing. But what Bey did next revealed more about his character than any solo could. He quietly disappeared from social media for several days. No defensive posts, no angry replies, just silence. His team didn't chase the hate. They protected him. And when Bey re-emerged, it was on his terms. No apologies, no drama, just more music. The AGT edit didn't show this part. They didn't show the restraint, the maturity, the emotional discipline it takes to be thrust into the viral spotlight and still hold your ground. Because for every viral post, there's a hidden cost. And Bey, even at his age, paid it like a pro. He understood what most young stars don't. That real power comes from choosing when to speak, when to rest, and when to let your silence speak louder than the noise. That kind of inner strength doesn't get a golden buzzer, but it deserves one. What's next for a 10-year-old who already plays like a legend, commands a stage like a headliner, and weathers internet fame like a veteran? That's the question swirling around Bey Melnick Virgolino. Some call him the Gen Z blues messiah. Others say he's the reincarnation of the golden age of guitar. But labels aside, one thing is certain. Bey is no longer just a kid on a talent show. He's an artist with a signature sound and a trajectory that could redefine what it means to be a young musician. His inspirations, Slash, Hendrix, Clapton, Page, are heard in his playing. But he doesn't just copy. He evolves. His solos blend blues grit with modern edge. His tone shifts from soulful to thunderous with surgical precision. And his songwriting is already taking shape behind the scenes. Industry insiders are watching closely. Labels are sniffing around. Guitar legends are reposting his performances. And yet Bey remains grounded, still surrounded by a family that puts protection over profit, creativity over clout. As he grows, the question isn't, can he make it? It's, how far will he go? Jazz, funk, rock, metal. Every path is open. But whichever genre he chooses, Bey already has what most musicians spend a lifetime searching for: authenticity. He's not trying to fit in. He's making the world catch up. And if AGT didn't show you that, then maybe it's time we stop relying on talent shows to define talent.